Hello again, this is James Byrne, and in this short episode, I'm going to discuss about Joseph Smith and his translation of the Old Testament, the Bible, and what we can deduct from it um, as it relates to polygamy, because Brigham Young and the leaders in Utah did not have access to the translation of the Bible. Those documents stayed with the reorganized church at Nauvoo. Throughout the rest of his life, the prophet repeatedly encouraged church members to donate money to the publication of the new translation of the Bible, but other priorities and a lack of funds caused that it was not printed in his lifetime, which was a matter of considerable disappointment to him. The entire justification of Latter-day Saint polygamy rested upon a reading of the Old Testament that was wholly unsupported by the Joseph Smith translation of the Bible. Every single doctrinal change the prophet Joseph made related to polygamy in his translation of the Bible was to more strongly condemn it. For much of the church's history, it has been asserted that Joseph began pondering polygamous concepts while translating the Old Testament. We now know that these assertions were made when Latter-day Saints had no access to the manuscripts and virtually no institutional memory about the translation. Emma Smith kept Joseph's translation of the Bible documents. She passed on to her son, who became president of the RLDS. Brigham Young and the LDS church leaders had no idea what was written in these documents of the translation of the Bible because they had no access to them at the time. Obviously, in time, the uh, would have. It's only in the last few years that the LDS Church Utah bought the translation and the Kirtland Temple and other things, but in Brigham's time, they had no access to them. Let's have a look at what some of these translations describe. We see 2 Samuel 12, verse 13, in the King James Version. And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said unto David, the Lord has put away thy sin, thou shalt not die. But in the translation version, we'll see the Lord also has not put away thy sin. Go to 1 Kings 3, verse 14. And if thou will walk in my ways to keep my statutes and my commandments, as thy father David did walk, then I will lengthen thy days. But in the translation of 1 Kings 3:14, we see it again. I will lengthen thy days, and thou shalt not walk in unrighteousness, as did thy father David. 1 Kings 11, verse 4. It came to pass when Solomon was old that his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, as was the heart of David his father. To the translation, Solomon was old, his wives turned away his heart after other gods, and his heart was not perfect with the Lord his God, and it became as the heart of David, his father. Key word differences there, which has, with a simple word missing or added there, what a profound difference it makes on the verse. 1 Kings 11 verse 6, and Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord and went not fully after the Lord, as did David his father. Translation, and Solomon did evil in the sight of the Lord, as David his father, and went not fully after the Lord. So it's actually, the translation is Solomon and David did not follow the Lord. King David's polygamy was not justified, because these are related to polygamy, by the way, because we have Nathan around that time where David uh, had that affair with Bathsheba, and Nathan, the prophet, comes to David to point out about this situation. The Quoram documents also betray a strict code towards polygamy and divorce. Both polygamy and divorce are allowed according to the Torah, Deuteronomy 21, Deuteronomy 24. However, according to the Damascus document, polygamy is a form of, translated as, fornication. The builders of the wall are caught twice in fornication by taking two wives in their lives. Even though the principle of creation is male and female, he created them, and the ones who went into the ark went in two by two. And according and concerning the prince, it is written, he shall not multiply wives for himself. The prohibition of polygamy is made by reference to the stories of creation and the flood, as portrayals of God's real intentions for polygamy, and capped by the citation from the law of the king, the temple scroll, who prohibits polygamy for the king. And this reference in 1 Kings chapter 14, in reference to Jeroboam, go tell Jeroboam, thus says the Lord God of Israel, for as much as I exalted thee from among the people, and made thee prince over my people Israel, and rent the kingdom away from the house of David, and gave it thee, and yet thou hast not been as my servant David, who kept my commandments, and who followed me with all his heart, to do that only which was right in mine eyes. Let's see the inspired version for verse 8. And rent the kingdom away from the house of David, and gave it thee, because he kept not my commandments. See the difference there. Kept not my commandments. Well, the King James Version is who kept my commandments. See, just that one word, not my commandments. But thou hast been as my servant David, when he followed me with all his heart, only to do right in mine eyes. So a key difference there, and we're seeing how these verses are relating to, you know, Bathsheba there when Nathan came, and then with Solomon when his wives turned his heart away. So that his heart was not right. as David's heart was not right also. And that's what's pointed out in the Joseph Smith translation of the Bible, that David's heart was not right because he took many wives and concubines. And as we more powerfully see it displayed is in the Book of Mormon, where the Lord, by means of Jacob the prophet, says that these things were abominations before me, that David and Solomon did. So it's worth pointing out that had Brigham and the leaders in Utah known at the time, would they have, what would they have done? But that's it for today, and I look forward to speaking with you in future episodes. Bye for now.